So the first person I spoke to was Coach Steve Mariucci, Coach Mooch.
He spent 6 years as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, where he led them to 4 playoff appearances, and 3 years as head coach of the Detroit Lions. What did Coach Mariucci say about coaching and parenting?
He's such a great guy, and he's the father of 4. So while he was coaching, he was also raising his kids. So he said, parenting and coaching are a lot alike. You have to stay on both your players and your kids. You have to hold them accountable, and they both need to be respectful and always give their best effort with everything they do.
Now, how do we apply what Coach Mooch said to our kids at home? How do you make that transition?
So what he's really saying is you have to hold your kids accountable.
That's really important.
Really important. And the #1 mistake that we all make is we make empty threats. So we say, if you don't do your homework, I'm going to throw that cell phone out the window. And of course, we're not going to throw that cell phone out the window because they're going to need it later and we need to call them. So you have to make a consequence that you're actually willing to follow through on. Like you say, you know what, if you don't do your homework, you can't go out Friday night. That way, they don't go out and you get to go to bed earlier.
You think there's a statute of limitations on, like if it's a Monday and you say you can't go out Friday and they've done really well on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, do you change it or you stick to it?
You can't change it. You have to do what you say you're going to do. Otherwise, if you don't hold them accountable, you don't get their respect.
Right. And up next is the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh. He's one of the most respected coaches the NFL has ever had, coach of the Baltimore Ravens, where he led them to a Super Bowl win. What does Coach Harbaugh say about coaching his players?
So Coach Harbaugh is all about the detail. So he said, discipline translates into everything we do and how we coach our players when we're in practice. Are we going to touch the line on every drill? Because if you're half a step short in the drill, then when it means the most, you'll be half a step short in the game. So for parents, what does that mean? If you go to your kid's soccer game, of course, you're watching them play soccer. But it's when it's halftime or they're on the bench, instead of looking at your phone, watch them. Are they on the bench with their friends? Are they rooting the other kids on? Or are they off to the side on their own? Because those little details are going to tell you what's going on in their life. That's the detail that the parents have to pay attention to.
Right, and let's talk about Coach Mike Zimmer. He's the coach for the Minnesota Vikings, and football coaching runs in his family. Not only is his son a coach, but his dad was inducted into the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Coach Zimmer knows the importance of someone believing in him. Explain that.
So before he was a head coach in Minnesota, he actually worked for legendary Hall of Fame coach Bill Parcells. And their offices were next door to each other. And he said every day he would come into my office and said, write this down. When you're a head coach, remember this. And so he said to have a Hall of Fame coach see the ability in me to be a head coach when I didn't even recognize it in myself and didn't know what my future might be made a huge difference in how I viewed myself.
Boy, I'm just thinking what it would be like to have someone like Bill Parcells come in and give me that information. It must be so empowering. And when you speak to your kids in an empowering way, you're saying that's a great thing to do too.
Well, sure, because you are your kid's Hall of Famer. If mom and dad believe you can do it, you believe you can do it. And so I thought that was such a great tip for parents. Tell your kids, look, this is what you could be. These are all the possibilities I see for you. And that's how you apply that.
Are you a tough mom, more tough than you were before?
You know, since I wrote the book, I definitely do what I say I'm going to do more. I stopped with the
Because I'm scared of you right now.
But, you know, I tend to be more mild-mannered. I don't raise my voice a lot. But what I try to do is if I set a consequence, I stick to it, and I make sure that no matter what I say, I do it, because that's the hardest thing.
Sure. Well, this is great advice. Congrats with the book and good luck with it, Erika. Thank you so much. Erika's book, Coach Parenting, is available now, and everybody in the studio audience is getting a copy. We'll be right back. Thanks, Erika.